Hello, I'm Jennifer Tharp, Comal County Criminal District Attorney, and this is Texas County Voice, a podcast for all 254 counties. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome to Texas County Voice. I'm Jody Seaborn.
And I'm Angela Maldonado with the Texas Association of Counties.
In today's episode, we're bringing you a conversation recorded at our 2025 TAC Legislative Conference.
Texas lawmakers created the new Texas Cyber Command this past session to help protect against cyber attacks.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You will have some attack, whether it's something small like a phishing attempt or maybe it's a direct attack onto your system.
You'll hear from Dallas County Clerk John Warren and TAC's Deputy Director of Technology Services, Peter Crary. They share their perspectives on what the Texas Cyber Command could mean for county government.
Plus, we'll find out how Dallas County is using AI to process documents.
We needed something that will manage the volume of work that we have so that we can meet the requirements of making those documents available to the courts and to the litigants.
Dallas County Clerk John Warren has been in his role since 2007 and a Dallas County employee for 13 years before that. Also, prior to his role as TAC Senior Director of Technology Services, Peter Crary worked for over a decade in the law enforcement technology industry.
Each brings years of experience in county government and tech innovation. Let's listen.
My hope for the Cyber Command is that it allows the rapid changes that are coming with cybersecurity, with the adoption of AI in those cyber attacks. The more sophistication that's getting there, the more players that are involved, they will be able to allow kind of that one-stop shop for counties. I mean, obviously, we'll do education through TAC Sierra on cyber AI and all those things as we have, and that's ramping up as well. But having the Cyber Command there, it means there's an area where counties know they can go to for these sophisticated attacks and be able to get a response.
I think what's necessary and what's going to be important is that we focus on what's best practices. There's certain information that should be available to the public, certain information that should not. And so the importance of the Cyber Command and coordinating, there should be this collaboration on building a framework on how we're going to approach the use of artificial intelligence in our various departments and what the implication will be and what the focus on those pitfalls and things to stay away from, as well as a path forward as it relates to, like I said, those best practices and making sure that we're not only providing the information, creating the efficiency, but we're also protecting the citizens that we're here to represent.
So knowing that you're going to get attacked means you need to know how to defend yourself. How do you set up your network to protect yourself? How do you educate your employees to spot things that are going on? And this is where it gets really complicated. As AI grows and becomes more complicated, that means the threat to your system becomes equally more dangerous and more difficult to spot. So then how do you protect yourself? Let's validate and make sure that this is legitimate communication. It comes across as a bit paranoid because then all of a sudden you're calling your coworkers, did you really send me this? Like, yes, of course I sent you that. Please deal with it. But that's better than going, oh, I'm sure that was such and such, click, and next thing you know, you've just exposed your entire network to a problem. The other thing is it's not even so much the education of the staff, but even just how the network's set up. So if a threat does get into your network, how do you contain them? How do you identify it? How do you see anomalies so that you can detect it and respond to it? How do you investigate these? How do you plan to respond? Tabletop exercises are great with that, where it forces everybody to look at a potential scenario that isn't actually happening, but you pretend it is, so that you know, and all the people involved know how they're supposed to respond. So the threat is going to only get worse. It's going to get more complicated. You will have AI protecting your network while an AI threat is attacking your network, and you'll sit there and watch AI go at it with AI. And that's the future.
Well, I will say, let me back up. I've always looked to implement technology to create efficiencies. I would say when I ran for office in 2006, I ran on a platform of creating a paperless office. And so that actually starts with using technology to enhance your business processes. Things I mentioned with the Texas Supreme Court's Advisory Committee, we were talking about how long should it take to make a document available that a lawyer filed It goes through the e-file process. It goes through the clerk's office and published in our case management system. They said, that should be about 24 hours. And I said, nope, that is not how it works. There is a lot more because we have limited staff and we have a high volume of work. I've been studying this use of artificial intelligence for about 4 years now. But a lot of this escalated during the course of the pandemic. We had a lot of employees who were leaving because we could not do remote work. One of my employees said, well, how come we can't work from home? And I said, do you want a defendant come into your house? so some things we could not do. And so that kind of escalated our plan to implement artificial intelligence because of the volume that we were getting, the volume of documents that we were getting, and the number of employees. And one of the things I explained to the Supreme Court committee was that our office hours are 8 to 4:30, so we work 8 hours a day, but a lawyer is able to file a document 24 hours a day. So Monday through Friday, any attorney has a 16-hour head start on us. And on weekends, when our staff come into the office, that's 48 hours worth of work that they've done that we have to address, as well as those things that are coming in the moment. The AI that we're using today will be outdated next month. And so it's an evolution. So you have to go step by step, make sure that you are training that AI to do exactly, the learned AI, to do exactly what the clerk is supposed to do. And so we made sure that the process was set up. So if we train the artificial intelligence to do a specific task, and that's based on what our employees are doing. And if that AI does not recognize a particular thing, it goes into a review queue for our employees. But at the end of the day, it's been a very successful project. I have to say this, you're going to have to get buy-in from your employees in order to make this work. And so I explained that to my employees, but I also told them that the solution is artificial intelligence. Oh, it's going to take my job. No, it's not going to take your job. You're actually going to be a supervisor of this artificial intelligence that's assisting you in doing your job. It makes you more marketable. So at any given time, you say, okay, I can't work for John Warren anymore. He won't pay me more money than I deserve. So I'm out of here. And so that it actually makes them more appealable to the workforce, but it also gives us an opportunity because they are human. We are human, and we have bad days. We have good days, and we don't want those bad days to impact the work that we're doing. And so now, instead of them pounding, trying to keep that volume down, they can now work at a normal pace where their stress level isn't high. They're able to accomplish the things that they need to accomplish. And it's a better work environment.
So it becomes an exercise in terms of priority and what is your data that should be exposed and what should be exposed. So one thing with AI is if you go into your large language model systems like OpenAI's ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these other ones where you can buy on the market, one of the things you have to be cautious with is especially the free version. The free version is great. You get to type a whole bunch of questions. It'll spit something out. It also allows you to upload files, and it'll look at that file and it'll tell you what it thinks. And that file has now been exposed to their large language model that is now public. So obviously you've just created a data breach for yourself, which is a very bad thing. So the way around that is to find models. So Copilot's a good one. ChatGPT is one as well. You just have to pay extra for it. But take like Copilot, where it's integrated in with Office 365. It's confined to your license. That allows us to use more sensitive documents and utilize AI as a method of analyzing and improving those documents and without it exposing in there. The other one, which John mentioned earlier, was the human in the loop. So one of the, from an ethics side that pops up is how do you make sure that AI is not making a decision that is negative impact to other humans? You can get into a permit process. Well, permitting is a great area where AI can actually make things way more efficient. The problem is it can make it so efficient that someone could get denied in a matter of minutes for their permit and not really fully understand why, or they disagree with the outcome. So it's from a protection standpoint, you get all the way down to your data and to data governance, but you want to have a system that you understand from a workflow process that is doing what it's supposed to do. You don't necessarily want to make decisions, good or bad, without someone in the loop. So I was talking to a healthcare provider about using AI. Well, how can you have AI help with claims? And they said, oh, it's fine. If it's a denial, a human will review it and they'll go. But if it's an approval, we'll just go ahead and accept it because that's positive impact to the person who has filing a complaint. The problem is you're still getting into this notion of an artificial something went ahead and made an approval and it's to their benefit, but is that the precedent that you want to set? So in many ways, you even on the approvals, you still want to make sure that somebody's reviewing it, someone is correctly approving or denying, and have that as part of your process. And that covers your bases. It covers the uh, a transparency that goes with how this works. They don't think it's a black box, even if it's in their favor. They feel like, okay, well, humans are still in control. I'm not going to have a terminator making my claims. I'm having an actual human being look at it.
So before we do any go live on anything, we do have our local sandbox where we have our test environment that we used, where we actually go through and we walk through the exercises of the human engagement as well as the AI engagement. And once we go through that rigorous testing, we validate everything that has transpired. Then we go live with that. But yeah, that's a lot. We do have our sandbox test environment, but we also make sure that we're validating everything that the artificial intelligence is doing as it relates to what we envisioned it doing. And so we do that before we actually go into production.
So with the smaller counties, AI presents a really unique opportunity where it in many ways levels the playing field to for them for the larger counties because it allows them to have those employees that don't take time off, that never stop and are able to just keep things going. The tricky part about that is the cost associated to AI. It doesn't just because it's cool doesn't mean it's cheap, and there becomes a problem. So for the smaller counties that are looking at AI, which I would encourage because I do think it's a way to, as we say with the law enforcement, becomes a force multiplier. It means one person is able to do the tasks of multiple people uh, without overburdening that person. So for the smaller counties, really what they need to do is they need to do their homework ahead of time before they start implementing, and they need to do as much as they can. Homework being, what is your objective? What is your expectations? What are you trying to get out of this? What is success in your mind? What is the definition of done? That's the homework.
It's everything that Peter just said, as well as I'll just say, I said, I want to make sure that I leave my office better than I found it. And so that means that a government shouldn't treat itself as government. Government is actually a business where we're providing a service to our constituents. And what we need to understand is that we have to think about everyone. You have to think about how you're going to be doing business, not today, but 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And so when you look at your workforce and how you're providing services, think about where you are and what it's going to take when you're trying to provide a service to Gen X, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha and how they want to do business. And so you have to meet them halfway. And so it's a requirement. You got to digitize those records. You got to create that automated process. So because those are the generations that will be saying, this is how we need access to the information. Those are the generations that will be sitting in the House and the Senate and making decisions on how local government will work.
Can I make a cautionary tale with generational stuff? You have us more seasoned generations that grew up without technology. Now we have technology. And so we have that balance. You're seeing a generation that doesn't know anything but technology. And that can become a bit of a hindrance for them because they are expecting to walk into the workforce with that technology available to them. So that becomes a recruiting issue. What you said in there with the generational stuff, that is something that those of us that we kind of roll our eyes because we grew up in a world that didn't have this technology and now it's here. They didn't. They have no idea. As far as they're concerned, Google's been around for 200 years and it's always been. And I remember before Google was founded.
Again, I'll say everything that Peter just said is absolutely correct. But, and also, and what absolutely for sure, you cannot overlook the importance of proceeding with caution. And so it's very critical.
So I'll talk the doom and gloom, and in some of my other conversations, I'll talk about dystopian movies and how accurate they are and some of the AI stuff. I say all that in a bit of tongue in cheek because I do think AI is actually a very beneficial, it's a very positive thing that can go around for organizations, particularly government. It's just the cautionary tale is that it has to be done in a way where there's a level of control applied to it. AI needs to be treated in that regard very similar to an employee, where you can have even the best employee in the world, they will still make mistakes. AI is the same way. They can be the best AI engine in the world, it'll still make mistakes. You still have to have some oversight over it to determine whether or not it's being done correctly, whether or not it's being accurate, and whether it's being applied in an appropriate manner.
There is no need for anyone to believe, or any other elected official or county to believe that they have to do this path alone. There's never anything that I have done that I haven't, one, searched to see if anybody is already doing it, if they were successful and how they were successful, doing site visits to see what they were doing. Because one, you can say, okay, I like that, but these things won't apply because one, my business processes are different. The dynamics of my county is different. But there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. The AI that we looked at last year is not the AI that we'll be seeing today. But understand that there are lots of resources available to anyone who wants to go down this path. And my word to everyone is consider it, don't run away from it, be prepared to do it, because that's what's going to happen whether you like it or not.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Texas County Voice, and a huge thanks to Dallas County Clerk John Warren and Tax Peter Crary for their insightful conversation.
Texas County Voice is a podcast from the Texas Association of Counties about the people, issues, and all things important to Texans and Texas counties.
To learn more about Texas counties and the Texas Association of Counties, visit county.org. We'll see you next time.